The king of YouTube's Unseen Price, Act 1, introduces the restless kid in a quiet room, the accidental inventor of a new kind of entertainment, and the early tension between the person and the performance. The stakes begin as small choices, pressing upload, turning off comments, that quietly shape a global stage. The room gets crowded. The mask gets louder. The person beneath it does not. A red diamond sits in a velvet box. The counter flips to a number that once felt like science fiction. 100 million. August 25th, 2019. Felix Schellberg laughs, chokes up, and thanks an audience so big it's hard to imagine as people. Before YouTube, I was that weird kid with no friends. I still don't believe it. The applause is deafening. The price tag is quiet. In that same era, sponsors hesitate, a house is ransacked an ocean away, and his name, shouted by fans, gets twisted by strangers he never wanted. The celebration leaves a question behind. What does it cost to be king? This is where a username becomes a voice. In Gothenburg, a small bedroom hums with an aging monitor and the soft clatter of keys. Game boxes lean toward collapse. A sketchbook lies open, shadows layered by a hand that looks longer than it is. The room smells like dust and ambition, the kind that makes you linger when everyone else goes out. Felix Arvid Ulf Kjellberg loves two things that aren't supposed to pay rent: games and art. After high school, he enrolls at Chalmers University of Technology for industrial engineering and management, but the lectures leave him numb. His attention ricochets back to a screen that responds when he does. He isn't trying to be radical, he's trying to feel awake. He forgets the password to Pewdie, shrugs, and adds a syllable: PewDiePie. In April 2010, he starts uploading unpolished horror, let's plays, jump scares, exaggerated screams, and invents a ritual, the bro fist, a punch toward the camera that turns distance into a joke. Money is a puzzle he solves piece by piece, selling Photoshop prints, working service jobs, trading shifts for RAM and graphics cards. In 2011, he leaves Chalmers, not as a manifesto, but as a correction. Years later, he'll say that dropping out to pursue YouTube is, in general, a bad idea. The truth is simpler. The course wasn't for him. What was, for better and worse, was the camera. This is the part where a bedroom turns into a stadium. Between 2012 and 2013, horror Let's Plays, Happy Wheels Chaos, and Amnesia Panic draw a crowd that grows like a spill. On August 15, 2013, PewDiePie becomes the most subscribed YouTuber on Earth. After a brief dip to YouTube's spotlight in November, he takes the title back that December. The ceiling moves overnight. The flood brings noise. Comments tilt towards spam and bile. In September 2014, he disables comments and reroutes conversation to places he can actually read, his forum and social feeds. An early experiment in controlling the room you build. It's messy, but it signals something. A creator isn't just responsible for the content, he's responsible for the environment it creates. Studios notice for another reason. Mention on his channel moves indie game sales. Developers start whispering about an Oprah effect. It isn't precise, it is real. Influence tilts toward impact. An early fundraiser channels fandom into clean water, setting a pattern. Take something silly and aim it somewhere useful. By 2014, his channel is the most viewed on YouTube for the year. He publishes a parody advice book, This Book Loves You, which hits #1 on the New York Times Young Adult Paperback list. Under the punchlines sits a theme: kindness beats cool. The momentum is thrilling. The pace is unsustainable. The mask is forming. Here the contradiction takes shape. On camera, he's loud, screams, jump cuts, hard edits, a cartoon with a microphone. Off camera, he's reserved, Swedish, careful. He signs off like a caricature and apologizes like a human. He is both. Early YouTube doesn't have a word for this friction. The platform rewards volume. The person under the avatar needs quiet.
2015 and 2016 are winning years. Mobile games hit Legend of the Brofest in 2015 and Tuber Simulator in 2016. So popular, the servers buckle. Success measured in outages and frantic engineers. He assembles Revel Mode with a group of creators, a banner for collaboration, charity, and experimentation. YouTube Red backs a horror reality show, Scare PewDiePie, expanding his world beyond the desk. In December 2016, he co-hosts Cringemas, a chaotic charity livestream with the Revel Mode crew, raising serious money for RED, aided by matching from partners. Inside the momentum, content evolves. Long playthroughs fracture into formats that mirror the internet's pace. Meme review, LWIYA, Last Week I Asked You, commentary that turns his audience into co-authors. It's participatory and self-aware, satire one day and sincerity the next. The trick works until it doesn't. Under the applause, a crack widens between the voice he projects and the person who has to live with it. That fissure is about to be tested. Act 2 is the storm. Public mistakes, corporate penalties, and the moral whiplash of a meme crossing into tragedy. This is the crucible where intent, impact, and identity collide, and where he learns that changing in public is more expensive than changing in private. A line gets crossed. Early 2017, a series of videos with anti-Semitic jokes and Nazi imagery detonates the fragile boundary between edgy and harmful. Disney's Maker Studios severs ties. YouTube cancels Scare PewDiePie Season 2 and removes him from Google Preferred. The platform's most famous creator loses the banners that proved it. The lesson is public and painful. Reach is not immunity. Power is not permission. His initial response bristles at the press, a defensive reflex that reads as deflection. Then, in September 2017, during a live stream, he uses a racial slur. Silence follows, on his stream and across living rooms where the clip lands like a slap. His apology sounds different. I'm just an idiot, but that doesn't make what I said or how I said it okay. He doesn't ask for absolution. He changes behavior. Sponsors pull back. The internet polarizes. Some defend anything wrapped in a punchline. Others use a heavier word, disappointment. The caricature tries to set terms for the person who has to live with them. He faces the glass that once reflected him and now exposes him. The cost ledger adds a new line, reputation. What he chooses next decides whether this is correction or transformation. 2018 turns subscriber counts into a spectator sport. T-Series, a music giant from India, closes in on his top spot. The internet invents a rivalry where only one side is a person. Subscribe to PewDiePie becomes a chant, a graffiti tag, an inside joke reprinted on billboards and shouted on streets he's never walked. The mobilization is astonishing. The undertow is dangerous. He leans into the theater with satirical diss tracks and self-mocking bravado, an anthem for a race he didn't start but can't ignore. Legal action in India restricts the songs there, a reminder that even irony has borders. Then it all turns cold. In March 2019, a mass murderer in Christchurch says his name before committing an atrocity. The theft is brutal. The meme ripped from its context and attached to horror. Felix sits down, shaken, and asks his audience to stop. He can't own a sentence spoken in front of a massacre. He can decide what his name stands for. He ends a game that went wrong. Amid the noise, real life insists on being real. On August 19, 2019, he marries Marcia Biso-Ninien, an artist and former YouTuber who had stepped away for her mental health. Days later, he receives the Red Diamond Creator Award from YouTube, a literal crown for a moment he meets with disbelief and gratitude. In September, he announces a $50,000 donation to the Anti-Defamation League, then retracts it 2 days later, saying the choice didn't feel personal and that he wants donations to reflect causes he chooses himself. Late that year, another intrusion. The couple's Japan property, part of a plan long in motion, is burglarized. Marcia reports that 90% of her valuables were stolen. Fame is porous.
Another cost appears: privacy. Early 2020, he turns the camera off. A month without uploads. He calls it what it is: burnout. The admission gives language to millions whose calendars never stop. The edit bay becomes a room he walks past. A silent monitor looks like a black mirror. The stillness is itchy. Then it becomes necessary. He returns with boundaries. In May 2020, an exclusive live streaming deal with YouTube reads like a payday and feels like a guardrail. Work with the platform that raised you, but on terms that protect the person you became. His content palette widens. In 2019, a Minecraft series explodes with the warmth of an old hobby rediscovered. The joy is contagious, and the game surges again on YouTube. Meme review and LWIYA sharpen into community rituals, bridges between internet culture and a mainstream that once dismissed it. Behind the scenes, he tightens moderation and sets clearer expectations. The audience doesn't just watch, it participates. That participation now comes with rules: self-deprecating humor over cruelty, satire aimed upward, not at people who can't answer back. The jokes are still fast. The aim is cleaner. Act 3 is quieter and braver, choosing home over heat, precision over provocation, and a life that measures success in rooms you don't film. The crown doesn't vanish, he just learns how to set it down. May to June 2022, after years of visa limbo and global delays, Felix and Marzia finally moved to Japan. The vlogs swap memes for logistics. Residency paperwork, neighborhoods that hum at a lower volume, grocery aisles that teach a new rhythm. Their most delicate cargo isn't furniture, it's dogs. Their elderly pugs can't fly cargo. They choreograph travel like a medical procedure. Stress threads their voices. Relief floods when paws touch safe floors. Peace, for once, feels like a plan executed well. Japan adjusts the frame. He's still the guy who laughs at the dumbest part of a game and then overthinks why it worked, but uploads slow, intentionally. A city that asks for quiet teaches a man to pick up the camera for the right reasons. He chooses smaller circles, home, studio, a walk that doesn't need a lens. He and Marzia pour attention into projects that feel like life rather than content. Her ceramics and design, Tsuki, their minimalist clothing brand rooted in a shared aesthetic, a house that values soft light over bright sets. July 11th, 2023, a hospital room filled with the kind of light that pretends to be sunlight. A new voice. The word father finds a home in his mouth. Brand new and somehow inevitable. On July 12th, he and Marzia tell the world their son Bjorn is here. The camera catches a different energy, still incredulous, steadier now. The old bro fist looks less like a punchline, more like a wave from a man anchoring himself to something that won't scroll away. Living in Japan sharpens his view of streaming culture. He criticizes in-real-life streamers who treat public places as stages, disruptive, rude, using a country as a backdrop, and urges respect as a guest. It reads like nostalgia for a quieter internet. Blend in until you're invited to stand out. The upload's slow, not from fatigue, but from choice. Performance can wait, bedtime cannot. By the mid-2020s, creator economy is a term for investor decks and conference stages. Felix was building there before it had a name. He showed that independent creators could launch products, influence markets, and mobilize large-scale giving without gatekeepers. He also demonstrated the volatility. A brand can distance itself in a day. A platform can cancel a series. An audience can turn on the thing it created. What matters is what he did after volatility hit. He didn't vanish, he recalibrated. He turned a channel known for chaotic gameplay into a platform that could narrate growing up, marriage, relocation, fatherhood, and the decision to be smaller in a world that worships large. The contradictions he carries, generous and stubborn, introverted and performative, global and private, aren't hypocrisies. They're the contour of someone who refused to let a brand calcify into a mask. Relationships make the contour legible. Marcia built her own audience and then stepped away from mental health, modeling a value that became family policy. The person under the avatar matters more than the avatar. The audience, a storm system that can fund wells or fewer wildfires, learned to hear no from him. No to weaponized memes, no to the worst impulses of online mobs. And the platform, not a person but a partner, proved capable of affection and accountability. The same room that crowned him also canceled a show and pulled him from a premium program when he crossed lines. He stayed and did the work under new terms. Say the philanthropic numbers out loud, because they hide in the noise. The 2013 charity water campaign passing roughly $446,000. The Cringemas stream in 2016 bringing in about $1.3 million for Red, with matching. Other drives that turned inside jokes into classrooms, wells, and medicine. These aren't incidental, they're results. And as the leaderboard shifted, when Mr. Beast, another individual creator, finally passed him in subscribers in 2022, Felix didn't cling to a throne. He congratulated the new leader and kept building a smaller, sturdier life. That handoff says as much about his legacy as the number ever did. What does it cost to be the king of YouTube? Start with time, years inside rooms teaching yourself to be effortless. Add reputation. Billions of views mean billions of chances to be misunderstood and some very fair chances to be judged for what you did. Add privacy. A burglarized home, a family learning how to be public by being less public. Add energy. The month he said burnout without flinching and meant it. Add patience. A move that taught him to keep life small until the papers said yes. The hardest line item is change. He learned, on camera, that edgy isn't free, that jokes can injure people who don't get to laugh. He moved away from humor that makes the wrong heads nod and toward humor that lets more people breathe. He didn't go soft, he got precise. Even in this quieter era, the work remains. When he streams, it's on his terms. When he posts, it's because there's something worth saying, not because an algorithm cleared its throat. He doesn't claim to have solved sustainability for creators. He models a version: family first, upload second, platform as a tool rather than a taskmaster. The symbols that tracked his rise still sit in the frame. The red diamond glints from a shelf, a reminder that the biggest number can't answer the simplest questions. Rooms, comment sections, and living spaces get redesigned to protect who they hold. Progress bars still crawl across screens, but he decides which ones to watch. A final scene, not a conclusion. A quiet kitchen in Japan at night. A bottle warmer hums. A baby's toy sits on the floor. A creator who once shouted for a living cuts a joke into something kinder. He hovers over a clip where his younger self would have gone for the cheap line and chooses a different one. Not because he's afraid, because he's sure. He hits export. The bar creeps forward. The old upload arrow waits, less like oxygen now, and more like a doorbell you ring only when you're welcome. He looks into the lens that has been a mirror and a megaphone, and signs off with the old ritual, Brofist. It lands differently, not as a brand, as a promise.